We know, like us, our listeners spend countless hours every week taking care of loved ones, but most probably don't have an estate plan. Sampson McPhee lawyers can help.
Estate planning allows you to make the big decisions now, like who will take care of your kids if you pass away, and allows you to control how your assets will be distributed and managed.
Estate planning is extra important for parents, common law partners, and people with blended families.
Call Kelly at Sampson McPhee at 902-563-5906 to find out about special pricing for our listeners. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling a little nervous today.
Why?
You can see us now.
You can see us now. Welcome to
There we
season
are.
4.
I can't believe it.
We're starting it off with a bang.
We sure are.
You're so nervous. It's so
Yeah.
funny. I love it. Well, a few things are changing for season 4, and we talked about it in the last episode, or one of the last episodes of season 3. We said there is some things coming, some excitement that we were looking forward to, and that if we had a vision board, we don't, but if we had a physical one, that this was on it for the last few seasons for the future.
Get us on the tube.
Get us on the
Get
tube.
us on the tube.
And here we are. We're video recording ourselves now.
Yeah.
So you can see us. Hi, everyone. I'd like
No
to say
more-
we can see you.
No
but we
more mom
can't.
buns. You
Oh,
know,
I'm
had
still-
had to put ourselves together just for the
Just
first
for the
one.
first
Just for
one.
the first one. I don't think I'll be as worried, but you know.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to mom bun it
Yeah,
more
true.
often than not. But for our first one, it felt like a special occasion. So we got a little.
get a little dolled up,
got
put the
a
lip
little
on,
ready.
you know.
And we have special guests today. So we have to level up for
That's true.
for
For
our
them.
guests to
Yeah.
launch season 4 with. And it
For sure.
seems like there's no better duo than to start season 4 off with than this one. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's exciting. And we'll get to that in a minute. But what else is new? How are we doing? Season 4, we had our recent 3-year anniversary of the pod last month or 2 months ago now. And we had a moment of like, 3 years? What? And then on the drive here, you were like, did we take a second to
We
understand
never-
what's happening?
We absolutely never take a minute to just think about all the things that we've done in the last 3 years.
No.
We never celebrate. We never take time. And then you're like, because we don't have time.
There's no time.
It's just like, what is next on the checklist? Get it done. Check it off. But we really should celebrate.
I know we should.
We have a great community
Yeah, we do. We do.
and a supportive community, an interested community, and we need to celebrate that more.
I think you said it well, like on the drive. It's more imposter syndrome, which I know our community, like we talk about this often on different episodes and how many people feel it and across industries and in different roles, whether it's motherhood or in business or in education or whatever. But we often feel like what's happening and when's the other shoe going to drop, or we just keep going. We just keep moving forward. It's almost like if we stop to celebrate the win, I don't know, it'll disappear or something.
That does happen to us when we stop, because we do the wine and dine. We talk about this on the last episode. We do the wine and dine. It's all this work. And then we're just like, okay, let's breathe.
Yeah.
And then we take way too long to get back up and running.
I know.
Because you know what they say? They say that if you're busy or get something you want done, if you have something you want to get done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you're already like,
Yeah.
go, go, go. What's one more thing?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like literally the motto of our lives. Why not? Let's start a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, throw some more kids in there, some twins.
Yeah.
Go back to school, have
Yeah.
a couple jobs,
Yeah.
run a couple businesses. Why?
Yeah, we can
nothing.
do it.
We can do it.
Keep doing it.
Right?
And we've done it. Like we've been juggling it well most of the time.
Most of the
Or
time.
we're faking it anyway. Fake it till you make it. But yeah, it is exciting. Yeah, so not only can you find us on YouTube moving forward for season 4, but you can find us on Rogers Seaside as well. Community channel, I think, is the proper way to say that. So if you're watching us on there, hello, you might be new to the podcast. I'm Sarah. This is Jessica. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're authentic. We try to keep it as real as we can. We talk to a lot of cool people in the community doing super cool things. And we just share our experiences. Should we kind of highlight why we do that or how we started?
for sure.
anyone
And
who's new?
it's funny because when people do ask us, you know, like, what's your elevator pitch? It's always that, like, we started this because we were jealous of our husband's hobbies.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be so much more than that. And I think for me personally, like, just the connection I love human connection.
Yeah.
I need it.
Same.
It helps me thrive. So I think that like being on this platform and not only having the conversations, but meeting people and just being exposed to different
And we
opportunities.
were new moms, you know, up to our foreheads and all the crap, literally and figuratively. And we were having these conversations of our female experience being like, we can't be the only ones with these questions who've never asked it or said it out loud or wondering if this happens to so-and-so too. You know, we were getting to know our bodies in different ways. We were learning new things about life, and it was overwhelming. And we started to chat about it. And then we couldn't believe we hadn't talked about it out loud to others. So we just started to have those conversations, and people have jumped on board, and the questions have been flowing, and it's been really exciting. We couldn't have done the last few years without our guests today.
Absolutely.
They are no stranger to anybody if you live in Cape Breton and beyond. They are a powerhouse duo. We've chatted with them in different scenarios for different reasons before on the podcast. We've worked with them and their business and their amazing team before. But today we're going to sit them down in the hot seat, and we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to talk all about what's happening in their lives and how they do it all.
How do they do it?
How do they do it all? So let's introduce our guests so that we can bring them around the table. The physical table. This is exciting.
We have a physical table.
Yeah.
I just thought of that right now.
Yeah. Well, I thought of it, but you did. Yeah.
It's happening.
Let's introduce them so that we can get this conversation started.
Danielle Johnson and Danielle Patterson, affectionately known as the Danielles, are proud mothers, purpose-driven leaders, fierce community advocates, and deeply committed to the future growth of Unama'ki, Cape Breton. Co-owners of the Anchor Group, they are passionate connectors and community builders, and are dedicated to giving back and uplifting their team and community. Together in 2017, they founded Anchored Ideas, a full-service marketing and communications agency. Anchored Ideas embodies their vision of innovative solutions, beautiful creations, and impactful storytelling. In 2022, they expanded their footprint with the launch of Anchored Recruiting and HR Solutions, recognizing the vital role of talent acquisition in HR in organizational success here in Cape Breton and beyond.
In January 2024, Danielle demonstrated their commitment to their community by purchasing City Print Plus. With the purchase of City Print Plus, their collective business now comprises of 3 companies, 17 full-time employees, and serves as a testament to their steadfast dedication to client satisfaction and community enrichment and growth. At the heart of all of their endeavors lies their signature ethos, a blend of genuine compassion, steadfast dedication, and unwavering enthusiasm, encapsulated in their motto of heart and hype. This motto is infused into every facet of their work with clients and in the community, ensuring that their impact transcends far past the transactions, but leaves a positive change and impact for our island and beyond. And if this wasn't a big enough hint of who we were chatting with today, we welcome Danielle Sampson and Danielle Johnson, the Danielles. Hi, Danielles.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back
Welcome
to the morning meeting.
Welcome to season 4.
Thank you. We're really excited.
There's
so
some-
pumped to be kicking this off with you.
Yeah, no one else we can imagine kicking off season 4 with than the Danielles at Anchored Ideas, which is just beautiful. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, it's exciting.
We just read your intros, and so impressive to read and to hear about you two incredible forces in the communities. We said in the intro, like the Danielles aren't strangers to anyone. If you're from here, you know the Danielles.
And no one's comparable. I mean, you just can't.
Yeah. And we've heard about the growth and the team and the community and your passion and the heart and hype of it all. But we need to know the origin story. So we just want you to take us back to the start. And we want you to tell us all about how this incredible partnership got started.
Sure. And it's something we actually don't tell that often, so we can definitely let you know.
So we started the business together almost 7 years, exactly 7 years ago, actually. And I had been working at City Print Plus and was starting to offer some marketing and communication services kind of off the side of my desk through that company. And Danielle and her husband Mark own an IT and security company, Divan Tech. And Danielle was kind of doing the same thing, even though it was an IT company, started pitching marketing services. And we had a mutual client, actually, who we were kind of both pitching to take over some of their marketing services. And he suggested that we meet. And we did just that. We had known each other a little bit.
We were both cruiser girls back in the day.
Oh, yes.
Different times.
Different times. Yeah,
radio.
we never quite got on the same path there. But we met the afternoon in Starbucks. Literally wrote out our services and what we thought we could do on a napkin. And incorporated the company
I wish
3
we
weeks
saved
later.
that.
I hope you framed that napkin.
Oh, no, it's in the trash.
I know, which is so
We should
sad.
recreate that.
But for the first year too, we also wrote our payroll out on a napkin or scrap paper. We didn't know what we were
You've
doing.
come so far.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing to me is that, looking at you two and seeing how you work together and just the team you created, it seems like you have been lifelong friends, but that's not the case, right?
No,
it feels like it.
Yeah, it's we knew each other, but went to different schools growing up, or different grades too. But never actually hung out at all socially. So it's kind of wild, thinking back, it was crazy that business partnership is a marriage in so many ways, and we went into that without really knowing each other at all.
Right, that's true.
An arranged marriage.
Yeah,
And I think too, what's been so nice is that our friendship has grown just as much as the business. We're extremely close, and there isn't anything that both of us don't know about each other personally, and professionally, obviously. But now that we're raising our kids together, we're genuinely friends, and there isn't a rift between us. There never has been. And I think there's an understanding and a deep understanding of that. And that's what has kept us going, I think. Yeah. We wouldn't have grown or kept doing what we're doing if we weren't genuine friends, I don't think.
and being in the same life stages, I think is so helpful because you have such a shared understanding for some of the challenges and pressures.
And there's lots of those.
You were really living parallel lives, the similar lives is beside one another, in this community. So that angel of destiny, that client that brought you two together, we can all thank them.
Business came first, right? Then family planning, growing, right?
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Yeah.
You started the business before you had kids.
We did.
So that just kind of aligned right along the same time.
And a lot of times we say, thank God that timeline happened for us, because I don't think our risk tolerance would have been there had either one of us had children. We just wouldn't have had the the guts to kind of go for it and really take the risk of, for me, especially giving up a salary and just kind of going all in and just saying, okay, let's trust our guts. My husband's an entrepreneur as well. So we were starting companies at the exact same time. It was a huge sacrifice. We were living with my brother, Scott, and had just moved home, and we're really resetting our life, I think. And so
And I don't think we would have had the time either, honestly. And it's unfortunate, I think, to say that because, but the reality is the hours that, we were both putting in those early years they were long. And it was weekends, evenings, being here at 6 a.m. every day. It was grueling hours, really. It was a lot of fun, no regrets. And that was our life. But it's just not possible when you have newborn babies.
Yeah. Right. That just reminds me of, we say, trust the timing of your life. These things have happened. I've told you this story off the record before, I think, but I'm sure that I witnessed the beginning of the masterminds at work in the pub at the Inverary Inn in Bedeck during a ladies golf weekend. And we were all randomly there with different groups, and our group kind of came together, and it was such a fun weekend of learning some golf tips, but really the fun happened listening to the music in the pub. But I remember looking over, I think many of us just finished a shot or something and in our younger days, and we all looked over, and then the Danielles were in the corner at this round table, and they were sitting next to each other, and I could just see their minds at work. And I was like, something
those were the early days
over
I
there.
can't even remember if we had Anchored then or not. I remember going to the event, but I can't remember the timing of it.
Anchor did not exist then, because I remember saying file this away for later. Those two are up to something. Something is coming. They're up to something. And I just remember thinking I would love to just snuggle into that booth with them and be like, what are you talking about? Because it looked so interesting and passionate. And I don't know if that was about Anchored or not. But I think it was shortly after that Anchored came to be. And I was like, oh, I think that was it. It obviously wasn't at Starbucks, so it wasn't that exact moment, but I think it was in those early days. It was very exciting to see your minds at work, I think, in that way. You talk about that partnership and the timing of your life being right and the friendship coming later, but you know, after that Starbucks meeting, you're writing that out on the napkin, you both leave, you go home and talk to your partners maybe about what that next move looks like for you. Like, how did you know it was going to be a viable partnership between you? Like, how did you know that was possible?
I don't think we did.
No.
Like, really? Like, I don't.
Just young and free and just running with it. I think we both wanted this to happen in the community and knew that there was an opportunity. And I think that we both knew that we could bring something to the table, but I don't think we even knew what services we would provide, what the opportunity was, who the client could look like and would look like.
It was like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
We like made ourselves look like a business before we probably
tell that story
really
of starting this office.
Yeah, like we we're in our building right now, 180 Townsend Street, and so City Print, we occupy the downstairs of the space, and then the space that we're in right now, which is upstairs, was our old bindery department, and I mean like years ago, like decades ago, and it hadn't been touched for decades. And so I went to the then owner of City Print Plus, Jim Keogh, and I said, you know, I know you just hired me for this, but we're kind of wanting to start this. We think we got to do something. It'd be a great compliment to the other business, which it was. And you know, he was so supportive, and then he actually supported us with renovating this space and furnishing it and helping us get that started. So amazing. So we had a physical office and we had a name and we threw up a website.
I was up here alone for the longest time. I was like in the office just hoping somebody would come by.
And yeah, like it just took time. We got our first couple of clients, and like it was just Danielle and myself, and we cost shared a graphic designer with City. So we had a 0.5 employee.
Shared a web developer with Devantech.
Yep.
And that's how we got started. And so then through that, we quickly knew, like, I think there was some spark there with clients. And once we started getting client feedback and they were saying, this is exactly what I've been looking for. You know, you really brought this vision to life. Like, I'm having success selling whatever we were helping them with. Then we knew that our niche, I think, was going to be providing that boutique marketing service that really became like a right hand to someone's business. So them quickly realizing we were all in and we weren't just going to be, you know, marketing. We were literally helping them sell the widget and create what the tag would look like on the widget and create the brand and create the momentum and the campaign. Like that, I know that service was something a lot of people were craving in a different, more intimate way. And that's really where Anchored started hatching, I would say.
And I think that's a big piece of it, because we've both worked with Anchored, being on a personal level and then with the podcast. Like, it's the feeling you get from the first email. I find it's you feel it. You just feel the excitement and you feel the energy, and it just gets you so excited, and you believe in the vision, and you even bring more to life. It's like, well, can we really do that? And it's just, it's like nothing else.
We've talked about it after our first meeting with Anchor for the morning meeting podcast when we did the rebrand last year. And we talked about, you know, the whole team was around the table. It was just this feeling. And we went in with these, like, we talk about imposter syndrome with these few ideas of like, can we do this? And Danielle Johnson, I think you were going to another meeting and you came in and you, like, a few minutes, you were like, do this. Okay, gotta go by. We were like, whoa, what just happened? Like, can we do all that? It was amazing. And then Danielle and the team were like, this is how, like, and we had the whiteboard going. It was filled with ideas. And we were, I think, you know, thinking small scale. And it was both of you that were like, no. Like, we can do bigger. We can do more. You can do more. And it is that connection that you two both so authentically can make with people. And we always say, like, you are connectors, I think. Which I don't know if you describe yourself as that. I hope you do. I definitely do. Like, you are able to connect people with one another, but also help people connect with their passion or idea a little bit stronger in a way. And that is a true gift, I think, for both of you, that both of you have.
Thank you. You're welcome. No, we definitely love, you know, finding that power, that passion that's inside of someone, making them feel like they can believe it, and then helping them get there. And that was what, even with you both, you know, talking about live events was something that scared the shit out of you, pardon the language, but we were like, you can do this. You will fill rooms. You will sell out. You are building a brand that's more than just words. And that's what I absolutely love about Anchored, and always have and always will. And I know Danielle feels the same way.
It's such a leap of faith faith too when someone's starting a business, and we're so fortunate we get to work with a lot of people when they're starting a business. Working with established business is awesome, but when someone's just kind of getting going, it's really such a different feeling. And you know, it's a huge jump for folks, right, and a huge investment. And so I think our team try to be confidence builders in that way too, to like, you know, be that support, especially working with female entrepreneurs too. Like it's, you know, I think it definitely requires sometimes more support, more confidence building, more like showing them what others see in them. You know what I mean? Helping them see that in themselves. And so it's probably some of the most rewarding things we get to do. And
we love it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it feels so authentic because you both did that yourselves too, right?
Exactly.
Like
you can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
So you started off as Anchored Ideas, and then it grew from there.
Yeah.
Talk about the next, like what was next for Anchored?
So Anchored was 7 this year, and so grew our team like slowly and steadily. And then a couple years ago, we launched a spin-off company, Anchored Recruiting and HR Solutions. And that came from, we saw a gap where we found kind of like managers and business owners would be talking to us and they're like, I need someone for this. Like, do you know anybody who's good, or you know anyone looking for a job? And so I found kind of organically we were connecting people that way. And so we, you know, work to recruit the right employees to start that business. And right now we have, you know, an incredible COO, Jill, who just has such a wealth of HR experience and knowledge, and has helped that business flourish really. And so what we do is we help people find great talent, and we place employees with great local businesses, but then also HR supporting services. So it could be everything from helping building contracts to doing performance review, processes and systems, employee handbooks,
culture books,
onboarding,
everything.
Really the whole employee life cycle is what Jill would say.
Oh, that's great.
And the other thing too is that since launching that, we've seen so many people reach out to us who aren't on island but didn't really have a place to go to say, listen, I would love to come back here someday. Can you put me on your radar? This is what my skill set is. If you see an opportunity, can you think about it? If you know someone selling their business, like it kind of has become a landing point for people to connect with us and say, just keep me on your radar. And so we've really built a talent pool that's, you know, pre-qualified and wonderful that way. And it's people who are currently working, not working, on island, off island. And, you know, when somebody asks us what we specialize in, we always say we specialize in Cape Breton Island and Amagi. Like we really, you know, we're deeply rooted here on the island, and that's our specialty, and that's always going to be that way.
And I think it's the right time in terms of, I would say, our generation. There's a shift in people coming home, right? Wanting to come home, want to be home, want to build their life and their families here, and you're helping them connect to that, right?
And there's a shift too in employers here on the island who may not have looked at, you know, their handbook in a couple decades, or don't have a culture book, or haven't looked at their performance, what they're offering, their performance reviews. And I find it's more of a friendly conversation than an intimidation conversation. That's right. Even Danielle and I are saying, wow, like HR is actually so interesting, because it's really helping, you know, employers here reevaluate what they are currently doing so that they have a great offer and they have a great package and they have great, you know, job postings. And so we love that piece as well. I think we're really helping employers here.
The biggest expense to most businesses is their payroll. It's their people.
Right.
But it's one of those things that often aren't invested enough in. And so I think that's our tagline with that, is really helping you prioritize your people.
Yes.
And that's Jill's mission, absolutely, with every company she works with.
I I have to get on in this talent pool.
Oh, yeah.
As a
Yeah,
almost graduate of Bachelor of
That's
Social Work.
right.
I should get in there and
Definitely.
and put my name in and see what comes up.
I think it's interesting too, because I think that generation of people, that workforce now, I think we really do want to try to find that balance, and like we do want to feel invested in as a person and not just an employee or like a number on a payroll list, right? So you're helping people connect with that. I'm laughing at updating the policies. Language is my jam, as we know, but I'm updating a student policy right now that it still says students can put the videotape in the VCR and do it. So obviously that hasn't been looked at, right, in quite some time. The students working with us now wouldn't even know what a VCR is. Like they've never had one. They've never seen one, right? Yeah. So it is really important, that updating, that refresh of that language and connecting with people on what they value and creating those work climates for them. Yeah. Awesome.
Anchored Ideas, Anchored Recruiting. You've grown that over the past few years, but recently, I think there's been another. You've propelled forward again with another. I was going to say piece of growth, but that's not the way to say that. You've grown again. Can you talk to us about what that looks like?
Sure. So as of January 1st of this year, we purchased City Print Plus. And so I had been working with the company already for about 7 years. So it was a long time coming, although many years we didn't know if we would, make that jump. It was obviously a significant investment, but we have an incredible team there. And over the last couple of years, we worked really hard to try and align the businesses so that we could manage it and that it made sense. But it's just such a nice complement to already, like, Anchored's a great complement to the work that City does. City is a great complement to the work that Anchor does. And so I think it was that final piece of the puzzle and trying to fulfill that, that dream and the vision ultimately of becoming a one-stop shop for, everything you need to help with the promotion, the branding, all of those pieces of your business.
Mm-hmm. We see this place almost as a hub now.
Absolutely.
And a place that anyone can walk into and know that we will do our best to take care of them in whatever capacity that is, and know that this is a safe space and a place that is fun and inviting and warm and welcoming. And that's our goal for here, but, super proud of City Print Plus. And also we purchased the building as well, which was a big step for us and something we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do.
Yeah.
But we worked hard in making that happen and really wanted that for the whole piece to kind of come together.
Yeah. Jess and I were talking before we introduced you that, these things sometimes you're so busy and you're managing all these things and family and personal and business, and you're growing and you have a team and you're keeping all these balls in the air. And sometimes you just keep moving forward or keep crossing off the to-do list, and you don't really take time. Well, we were saying we don't really take time to stop and celebrate the wins or really let it sink in, even that this was a goal we set for ourselves a few years ago and now it's happening. Do you do that? Like, are you able to say, look what we're doing? Or are these decisions kind of like, are we doing it? And then we do it and then you keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. What does that feel like for both of you?
I don't know. I don't know if we
I don't know.
Yeah. I think we took a lot of time with City to realize if it was the right move. Yeah. Especially, it was always, Danielle always managed City, and that was always her call on whether wanted to go forward, if we were going to go forward, what that looked like. The transformation that Danielle did with City in the last 7 years is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, she would never tell you this, but, turning that company around has taken years off of her life. And it's been amazing. And really, it wasn't, especially 2 years ago, it wasn't a business that we thought we could even purchase because we didn't know the future of City.
Yeah, it's a very traditional industry. We've added from like the print work that we did, promotional products and apparel, and that's certainly helped a lot in terms of the growth of that company. But I don't think anyone thinks like, oh, print's the business you gotta get into.
Booming.
What's really booming?
Brochures for life.
Good point. So I remember even when I was leaving my previous job to come work and we didn't have promotional products or apparel at that time. It was exclusively a print shop, and I knew nothing about it and thought I knew the world. But like, people say like, you're what? Like, it just like does not feel where the world's going.
Right.
And then on the flip side of it, with the marketing agency, like, we live so much in the digital world either, but
I think all changing.
Yeah. And they're like just such a great complement to each other.
Yeah.
And I think that, City has been in business for 50 years. So this year was the 50th anniversary of the business. We have some incredible long-term employees. Kenny Lewis has been with the business for 45 years this year. Brenda Balla just had her 41st anniversary here. Brenda's dad had started the company actually. And so to the previous owner, it was really important that it stay a local company. Mm-hmm. And it was like one of those things, we didn't know if we could do it, but it was like the itch you couldn't scratch. Like, we just like had to and had to pull the trigger.
You always wonder what if.
Yeah, you wouldn't know until you try. Yeah, that's right.
But things changed with COVID, and the reality is that rates went up for buying businesses, buying buildings, and we have kids now and families, and the risk tolerance is there, but how much is it there? And that again brings you back to starting the company. Like, we were way more cautious with this decision. There's way more money involved and obstacles to assess. But it was great. And like, I think Jim Keogh, he's so proud to see the business stay in the community. And he was really encouraging to both of us. And
yeah, he made it happen in many ways. Yeah,
he made it happen for sure.
Yeah, that's so nice. And I'm sure it takes a level of trust and courage on your part, like in yourselves and one another, and what that future holds, or what you know you can do with it. And that's not always easy, I don't think, right? Like that trust and to be saying like, we can do it. We know that we can do this. And sometimes it is just that leap, like taking that jump.
That's every day right now.
Yeah.
We have the benefit though, we have like incredible team all around us.
Right.
So there's 17 people that work with us now, and you know, so many of them know so much more than we do, which is great.
Gosh.
That's what you want.
Keep me
have
out.
around
Yeah.
you. Like,
Keep me away from the embroiderer. Danielle's like, you can go down there,
like
but don't
Danielle's
touch
not allowed
anything.
down
Touch
in
anything.
production.
That would be us. Don't touch
Dead
anything.
serious.
even look at
I
it.
can view everything without the permissions to change
Like,
anything.
don't send anyone anything right now. Don't. Yeah.
It's just so exciting.
Don't touch the buttons. Yeah.
And I think that speaks to you.
See it in your eyes.
It is.
I think that speaks to you both, though. Like the team that you have created here, the team that had already been, and then the team that has come after. I mean, they're incredible because you and like of the environment that you provide. I think too.
Yeah, that work culture.
Like I mean, here it's like you just feel it when you're in this space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just a great place to be. And I always say like, I want to work here someday. I never could. There's no way I'm going to get in
Don't
that
let her
town
near
pool.
that embroiderer's machine. No.
It's like this area is not my jam. But yeah, I'm more into like social sciences and things like that. But if I like could go back in time, like I want to work at Anchored. It's just an incredible place. The heart and hype is there. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how do you foster such a good team environment?
Yeah. What do you think makes your leadership style so unique?
I think it's like funny to like even think of yourself as having a leadership style.
Yeah.
Like truthfully,
Yeah.
like I think that's still like a little bit uncomfortable, like for us in so many ways. But I think like, I hope people would say like, I don't think we're micromanagers to any degree. And I think that, you know, our goal is ultimately you hire people to do a certain job, and because you believe they have the talent and the abilities to do that. And then so how do we kind of foster that within themselves so that they know and then they do, and, you know, create more opportunities for them. And so I think we give a lot of trust to people, and you just, you know, I think try to lean in on that.
Which is hard for us sometimes because it's easier to sometimes do it yourself than
it's your
to
baby.
foster
Yeah.
someone. So we've been, you know, coaching ourselves on that and making sure that we're doing a good job to create great managers and great teammates and great everything within the building. And we've spent a lot of time making sure that this is a place that people want to work and feel really valued. Jill's really helped us with that in bringing that out inside of us. And we've taken the good of what we loved in our past employers, the good of what exists now post-COVID. And we've really tried to build, we call it a culture book now, but a place that people feel proud to work. We spent a lot of time on that, especially in the last year, marrying the businesses together. It's taken a lot of time to build the Anchored group per se, to make everyone feel like they're part of it and that we genuinely love and care for them and want them to succeed in the best way possible.
And I see that from the outside looking in, that I think you are also always working on yourselves to better, you know, like what can we do to ensure, like you just came back from the Gilly Academy.
We did.
Was that in Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah.
So fun.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was awesome. Like honestly, it was better than I expected. I knew we'd have fun. I knew it'd be gorgeous and like so aesthetic and all of those things. But I did worry a little bit about how much substance would actually be there the day of the conference, but it was really good. They had awesome speakers, some like life coaches, HR professionals, a professor from Columbia who talked about like aesthetic intelligence, and she had worked for some of the biggest brands in the world, like Louis Vuitton and a massive brand group. And so, it was really valuable. But I think it's so hard to find the time to like just get yourself out of the office and out of the building or into like the day-to-day operations. And so probably the biggest value in investing the time to do those kinds of things, it's the conference and the people, and what you take away from that is one piece of it. But the bigger thing is probably just getting inspired a little bit of just not being in the same four walls.
I'm feeling like we're A, on the right track, but B, there's so much to learn and there's so much to grow and there's so much to aspire to, and that, you know, it's so exciting right now, and there's so much going on in the world, and just like we loved it. We were so inspired, and it, you know, I think like Danielle said, we didn't know what to expect. It was going to be a really fun conference, especially for just us to go away for a couple of days. But we came out, you know, learning more than we thought, which was great.
What a nice middle to be in, though, right? Like feeling like you're on the right track and you're doing things right, but you still have so much to learn and like eager to learn and grow. Like that's a nice spot to be in, right? And I think what's so unique that you've, you know, reflected on and that Jessica mentioned is, I think everything you do has intentionality behind it. And I think maybe you don't stop to give yourselves that credit as much as you should, in terms of, you know, you can't really pinpoint your leadership style, or you can't really pinpoint like how that you're creating that culture or climate, but it's because everything you do, you're doing with intention, right? Like for the good of the team and the business. And I think that is so authentic and that is so true. And I think that's a, you know, really special quality to have as leaders in the community and in business as well. And, you know, you have young families, your team, I think some of them have young families, lots of women in the Anchored Ideas, you know, group, and Anchored Recruiting as well. Tell us, you know, how do you manage, or attempt to manage perhaps, that life work balance, or how do you lead your team through that as well?
I think it's become a lot easier. And I think that honestly, I think the pandemic was a great shift in that. And it was, you know, everyone had to stop. You had no choice but to stop. But without the pandemic, I'm not sure we would have found the balance that we have right now. Like, I don't think I would have, certainly. So I think that being forced to slow down, I mean, we lost like all of our business too. Like, so that was scary. It wasn't all good.
I mean, I think that's the other side. It's a lot of great, but there was a lot of, you know, really hard days. We lost everything. We lost almost every client with Anchored Ideas. And so that was a huge reset for us and a big wake up call.
It's like City Print, we were like mask dealers.
Literally,
like sent a bunch of money to Shanghai and hoped masks were coming. And
Anchored, we had helped everyone.
It was dark days.
And Anchored, we had helped everyone, like coach them through the communications of how to shut their business down, reposition, change, everything. But the minute that got set up, we were gone. The marketing budget was gone.
Right.
So we went down to nothing, like no salaries, no income, no anything. I had the twins who were 4 months old at the time.
My gosh.
Danielle had Hannah, who was a baby at the time, and we were just trying to survive. Like, it was just
really
so scary.
I remember we got one client back, and it was like a big deal for us, like this client, and they're still with us. They won't even know who they are with this story. But I remember the CEO calling, and it was like our first big project that we had to do with them, and it was like a big report. And I was literally in the dollhouse in my basement with Hannah on the phone talking to him, and he's like a 70-year-old man. He would not have like been empathetic to like this situation.
Right.
And like I was just like, like, oh yeah, like we're working on it right now, like clickety clack.
But to me, like, what an image though, right? Like, you literally in the dollhouse with the child on the phone, knowing like, what a powerful image.
But we said, never again is someone going to own our time like they had before, and own our business like they had before. And so that was for us, like, we reshifted everything. We created more income streams with all different layers and levels. We created more boundaries for ourselves, more time boundaries. Like, we said, this is not happening. Like, we have kids now, we have families, and they come first, and we're gonna figure this out. And everyone in our company had families and kids and life and everything. So we were like, we have to do this for the team and shift things up.
That's incredible, though. It's hard to do and so important. Like, it is a gift, right? But not without its hardships with it.
Right. I think too, though, we also realized through that, and becoming a parent was like a huge eye opener for me. And it's like, I feel like shame to think I would have thought before. I would have thought parenting was like literally mere organization. Yeah. And like, what do you mean you need to like leave early? Like, couldn't you have figured this out?
Yes.
Like, I had no understanding of like the challenges that come with being a parent.
Yeah.
And like the empathy that has grown from that. And like, although it's challenging juggling owning businesses, we're in such a position of privilege is the truth of it, in that we have flexibility. We could make our own schedules. Like, we're in control of it. We're our own bosses. Right. So many people don't have that luxury.
Yeah, that's so important to recognize.
And we talk about that all the time, like how lucky we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an important thing to recognize. I think I was just having this conversation with my husband yesterday. A friend of mine just had a baby. She's about 2 weeks in. and her parents are there to visit, and she's so thankful that they're there. And then she's like, but thank God they weren't here for the first 2 weeks. And I'm like, no, it's a wild time. Like, you know, everyone feels that way if that makes you feel better. And she said, it does. And also, like, I'm sorry, because I never had respect for parents like I should have before, like I do now. And similar position, like, you know, a very high profile, busy job, like would manage a team, you know, and she's like, I just didn't get it. Like, I thought I got it and I didn't get it. And she's only 2.5 weeks in. And I'm like, that's, you know, you get it. Like, you know that until you're in it, like, it's hard to really understand. And you're right. That is such a privilege to be able to create that schedule. And it's so nice that you recognize that. But I think being able to share that understanding or that outlook with other people is really powerful, right? So other people can hear that. And I'm sure your team appreciates it more than you even know.
Something I'm curious about, and especially as Sarah and I have been working, like, obviously very closely in the last number of years on this podcast, we were friends first and then kind of business partners second. And then you mentioned that like there hasn't been any rifts. I think you used the word rifts. How is that possible? Like, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm just wondering, like, how do you keep it? How do you have those boundaries in place for yourselves? Like, friendship, business, like, is it separate? Do you purposely separate that? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I don't think anything's separate.
No. Yeah. Maybe it's just easy like for you.
And we're two completely different people in the way we operate, work, everything. But I think that we have this deep trust with each other where we can be completely honest with each other and know that it's feedback and it's not personal, and that we can say, okay, we're going to learn from that, improve on that, or however that is. Even our philosophies on leadership and, you know, business are different in some ways. And so a lot of times it's just conversation between us, but just honesty. And I would say that it's just a level of trust there.
And it's like the long game too. And so I think we're both like fairly, I actually don't think I'm an easygoing person, but like, I think in some ways I am. But like, I think for this, Jason's.
I'm the one getting in trouble.
Everyone flicks back.
I'm not
self-awareness is key.
But I think for like little things, like I'm not easygoing, but I don't think either one of us are petty. No. And so like, I'm sure there's times we're annoying to each other, but like, it's the long game. Yeah. Like if you dwell over that, like you're never going to, it's like the same as being in a marriage. Yeah. Truthfully.
Yes,
like
exactly.
you have to pick your battle.
Yeah. It's the human condition, right? Like there is going to be miscommunication or misunderstanding or disagreement, but knowing that it's
and like we're not performing brain surgery, right? Like nothing we're doing is that serious, and so like you know, if you can have a laugh about the circumstances,
for sure, keeping that in perspective.
That. 100%.
Are you able to separate business and friendship? I remember Julie Cole, Mabel's Labels, like she said this that company started with her sisters, I think, or best friends, and you like, how do you go to like the cottage for the weekend and you're excited about this work? Can you separate that? Can you be social beings with your family and friends and enjoy that without thinking about work or talking about work? Or is it always
I think we've
combined?
Gotten better at that. Like, we both.
So maybe
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like because we love it. Like it's not like annoying. You know, and I think that we both share our personal goals with each other. So we both know that we have personal goals that we're striving towards, and they're different. Right. And we're coaching each other on internally. We don't share them with the public. We don't share them with anyone else, but we're our own each cheerleader. Yeah. And you know, I want the best for Danielle. Danielle wants the best for me. And I know that if she were to ever be out in public, she would never say something bad about myself, and nor would I. And so I just think like we're in a small town and there's lots of benefits. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We're all in on this island, and we want the best for everyone, and we want the best for the island for our kids. And so I'm not ashamed to say that it is our lifestyle is our business and vice versa. But there's nothing to hide with us. Like we are who we are, and we're authentically us.
And we get to do fun stuff. Like for the most part, like not every day is fun, but for the most part, the things we're involved in are positive in nature. And so it's not like it's, you know, I'm not saying there's not difficult days. There certainly are. And there's times where we make mistakes and wish we've dealt with things differently. But like for the most part, the work that we get to do is pretty lighthearted. And so that helps, because I don't think either one of us are going home like dwelling over like the job that went wrong.
Right. People know us too, that we're the kind of people that would just pick up the phone and call someone if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't hide from something, whether it's a mistake that we've made, we own it. And we're the first person to pick up the phone. So I think the level of respect is there. If you know us and you've worked with us, you just know that, you know, we're going to help you through it, and we're going to own our mistake if we made a mistake and make it right.
Direct is kind.
Direct is kind. I like clarity is kind.
Clarity is kind.
Clarity is
kind.
kind.
Clarity is kind. Brene Brown. Clarity is kindness. I think like Jessica and I struggled with this a little bit at the start. I think we're doing better, but we found it hard. Like we would be at Jessica's host for a barbecue with the kids and our husbands, and I'd be like, so what about the next episode? Like it's hard not to talk because we have little time together that it feels like we need to capitalize on that time. But sometimes maybe one of us, we're not in that mind frame right now. We want to talk about, you know, what our kids are doing or whatever. So I think, would you agree? Like that was hard.
Well, like we were in like during spring hockey this season, as we're like trying to prepare for season 4, we're doing laps while our kids are playing hockey, and like we can get a lot done in a very short time. Like
3 laps around the rink, and we were like, okay, good meeting.
Yeah, okay, good, bye. And then we went back and sat down in our separate areas and watched our kids because we can't sit together because we'll just talk the whole time, right? But yeah, it's definitely, I think we're getting better at it though. And we can separate it, but it's hard because like you said, it's exciting to talk about, like it's fun, like these things that we're doing. And then I think also understanding that like sometimes we're just in different stages of our lives. So like sometimes I have more to give than others, and sometimes she has more to give than others, and sometimes that doesn't align. Right. So it's tricky to kind of figure out, okay, like what are the goals, what are we need to do to get, but we've also just started like asking for help and saying like, okay, you know what, we have to put our hands up here and source out because we just don't have, you know,
that's not in our capacity,
the capacity, right? But we're doing good. I think.
Do you think you've learned each other's like conflict management styles? Like we're talking about, you know, these communication pieces, and it's so that empathy is so important, and that trust. So like what you just described is one of the elements of a satisfying interpersonal relationship, knowing that when you leave the room or the other person's in a crowd, like it's nothing but respect and honesty, and you know, you have that trust is so important in any relationship. Do you think like the first few misunderstandings or conflict styles, like was it just natural off the bat, or did that take some workshopping between you two?
I like can't really think of conflicts. I know that sounds like crazy to say, but like because it's been but I can't think of anything, but I really can't think of
there isn't a situation that I could even remember that we've had to have a sit down over.
Amazing.
More so just talking about growth and helping our team and, you know, our management styles, because what can get really confusing is the Danielles. So it's who goes to Patterson, Johnson, you know, client wise and internally wise with our team. So we've had to get kind of clear on that sometimes, being like, okay, Johnson takes this, Patterson takes this, or if we're having one-on-one conversations with a team member, we usually fill each other in if it's appropriate, unless it's, you know, something that's private, so that we're on the same page. Because we never want anyone to feel really confused. And our styles on like coaching and just internally on a team, making sure we're on the same
think
page.
that was one of the biggest growth pains for us too, is going from having like 0 employees to, you know, 17 and trying to blend all of that together, is trying to be more structured when we're, I'd say, pretty like light around some of the things before around structure. And so we had to be much more intentional on that to make sure that what we thought was like a cool, like free atmosphere to work in didn't actually become just like confusing to people. And I think at times it was you know, who do I go to?
We're still having those conversations today. Like it's the fine balance. I think entrepreneurs struggle with that too. Like you're an entrepreneur sometimes because you love what you do and what you're doing, but doesn't mean you're sometimes a great manager. And as you manage growth, it doesn't mean that you get better as it goes. And you know, we like to own that and say we're learning as well. You know, we always tell our team we do a team huddle at the first Friday of every month, and we now bring the whole building together. It's at 8:00 in the morning, and everyone gets up and tells big wins we had that month. So everyone feels connected, knows what we're doing, you know, upstairs, downstairs, back, front. And we have had to say, like, listen, bear with us. Like, we're learning. We want you to give us feedback. Let us know, because I think that's the entrepreneurial struggle for a lot of people, and something that we're definitely aware of.
Yeah, creating that open door, like that climate of trust to say,
Yeah.
like, we want feedback and we actually want it, right?
Yeah.
'Cause some
Yeah.
people say that and they don't mean it. Like, they
Right.
get feedback
Oh,
and they're like,
we
why are
did-
you talking to us
Oh,
like
I
that?
remember
The
I
surveys.
I did like surveys all around. It was like basically like a 360 review of
last year.
and I was like, do I want this feedback?
that's
Like I
scary.
was scared.
That's
I was
scary.
prepared for the worst, hoping for the best.
We were in shed
but
camp when we got the results.
I was like, oh
We were
God, yeah.
where's the wine?
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
But it is important. I do think people thrive in boundaried environments as well, right? Like balancing that freedom and that open space and that flexibility with boundaries so that people understand, like, you know, that direction or that limit is
And
important.
I think there's, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think there's like that trend where companies were doing like unlimited time off, but it actually became no time off for
Right.
people because everyone was scared about how to use it, or they had no
Exactly.
parameters around how to use it.
Exactly.
And I think that I think we kind of had a bit of that thing going. We were like, oh yeah, like take the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was
But
no
it's like,
tracking.
that
Yeah.
wasn't actually like helpful to people.
Right.
Like when I think actually a lot of people want flexibility, but structured flexibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think people felt those growing pains in COVID as well
Yeah.
because it was like work from home.
Yes.
But now I'm always working.
Right.
Like there's no separation of
Yeah.
work from home. Like work from home is lovely, but what
But
does
you don't
that
get to
mean?
physically leave.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to answer emails at 7 p.m. because you were at 3 p.m. Like it's like
Right.
that
Yeah.
was a struggle, I think, for
Yeah.
some people.
I think we're going to look back to in 10 years because it's not, you know, it sometimes feels uncomfortable for Danielle and I to talk about this because there's so many people who have been owning businesses for decades and years and we don't feel like we've been, you know, well seasoned enough to
Yeah.
even sometimes be an expert at any of this. But I like how we are authentic and we like to share what we're going through so other people can relate to know that they're not alone. I think in a couple of years time, we're going to look back and say, wow, like COVID was the reset of how organizations looked like.
Yeah.
And we are going through that right now. Like we are constantly every day going through how to attract talent, how to keep talent, what businesses look like. And no one has a playbook for it.
Right.
It's new. And there's lots of businesses doing 4-day work week. There's lots of businesses doing work from home hybrid. Like
Yep.
there is no playbook for that.
Yep.
So that is something I feel like we can talk about of the day-to-day conversations we're having, being like, let's try to figure this out and let's adjust if we need to. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild
Yeah.
West, really, in terms
Yeah.
of like, what's next? This has been lovely. We want to know if you had advice for young entrepreneurs out there, women in business, people trying to balance the family and the personal. I think you gave tidbits of it through this whole talk, but you know, what have you learned about yourselves through all this? What advice would you give other people? 3-part
Dream
question.
chasers,
Yeah.
you know?
What's next for Anchored? Where do you see it?
So advice I would give is like, this is definitely not like inspirational, but very practical.
I always count on you. I love
Johnson.
You can always go down in price. You can never go up.
it.
So when you're pricing
Okay.
services
Love that.
or when you're like creating business
says
plans
this
and
all the
looking
time.
at like what you're charging. And I
Yep.
think we've done that so many times where you've undervalued yourself and undervalued what you do. You can always go down and negotiate, but it is very hard to go back up.
Oh,
So
that
don't start
is
low.
incredible.
There you go.
Yeah,
You heard
that's
it here
such a good
first.
piece. I literally met with coffee with a person 2 weeks ago who we're doing something similar in the future. And the intention of the coffee was to literally ask him point blank, like, what are you planning to charge? Because I know I'm undervaluing myself and I don't want to look like a moron when I give them my invoice and you give them yours and we're
Yeah.
doing the same thing for the same hour. And when he told me, I was like, oh, I would have looked like a moron.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so
Yeah.
glad we had this open conversation. And that's exactly what I needed to hear,
Yeah.
Danielle. Thank you.
I think mine, well, business wise, would be to always think bigger. And especially being on an island, a lot of people who come to us think that they're just selling to, you know, the radius of CBRM or the radius of the island. And I always say, like, the world is so much bigger now. Like, create a brand that could potentially be further than you can even imagine and create a campaign that can be further. And how do you create something now that could potentially scale in 2 years? And, you know, encouraging people to just dream big. Like, yes, just because we're on an island doesn't mean we need to just be just right here, and be proud of that. And then the other one is just, and Danielle and I both know this now, is that you just can't do it all.
Yeah.
And give yourself the grace
Yeah.
to know that you can ask for help, whether it's in life and business. But life is really hard, and business is really hard, as we all know. And so I think it's just like being okay with asking for help or giving yourself permission to take a beat and to know that you just can't do it all. And really it's something that I think we all think we can, and especially now in this social world where we see everyone kind of, thinking that they do it all, but really it's just too hard.
Yeah, and to feel like you need to prove it. Like, I can do it all. Like, that's some sort of badge of honor. But there is strength in asking for help. It's not a weakness, right? There's real strength in that. Yeah, this has been wonderful.
It's always so great to sit down and talk with you ladies.
Yeah.
I'll take any opportunity
to
do it.
And thank you for having us around your table today. It was so nice to be here and to kick off season 4 with the Danielles together and separately as individuals. And as a team, we learned so much from you every time we sit down with you. And we can't wait to see where the Anchored Group and City Print Plus, how that partnership or that relationship between traditional and digital media moves forward in the future. It's just always exciting to watch.
Thank you. Congrats on 4 seasons.
Thank you. Huge congrats. So proud of you.
We said in our intro, none of this would have been, we wouldn't be here without you two, I don't think. So we appreciate that mentorship, as I'm sure.
We're always cheering you on.
Thank you.
We feel that.
Yeah. Ditto.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Thanks to the crew behind the cameras for getting us through episode 1 of season 4. For any of you watching and listening, this is new to us, so we're working out the nerves, but it's been fun. And we appreciate you being here, and we hope that you'll continue on and join us for the rest of season 4 as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next time.